Okay, and to get the show going, although the state of California is taking fire very seriously now, and I know all of you are out there, we are many years down the road from being fully prepared to survive and thrive in the wildfire-prone environment that we live in. This year is looking especially scary, and this show today is going to cover two things that we need to be aware of around that. One, this is a year to be extra kind up to your local volunteer firefighters and fire departments. So we're going to be checking in with the chief of the Albion Little River Fire Department, or Fire Protection District, to find out a little bit about life in the department and what you can do to support them. And one of the biggest things you can do to support them is what we'll be focusing on a little later in the show, which is not starting so many fires. About 95% is the last I heard of the wildfires that get going because some person did something to start them. So you, the air we breathe, and your neighbors' homes, and everyone would appreciate if you take a few moments to think through what those causes can be and think through what you can do to make sure you're not one of those people that starts one. So we'll be talking about that a little later in the show, but I want to start off by introducing Michael Reese. Michael is, as I mentioned, is the current chief of the Albion Little River Fire Protection District. We were going to be joined by Ted Williams, who was the former chief, but Ted apparently has some other job that he's doing today. So we're going to go ahead with Michael. And Michael, if you could start us off by telling us a little bit about how you got to be doing what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah. Good morning. I joined the Albion Little River Fire Protection District about 10 years ago. And I had recently moved to Albion. And what really motivated me was in 2008, the lightning strike fires. I was living out in Compchi at the time, and I was not a member of the fire department. And we had 3 fires burning around where we were living, and I felt pretty helpless. I went to the fire station. They had community meetings pretty much every other night or every night, and I went down there to stay informed, and I wanted to help, and there was really nothing I could do. So we ended up moving and moved to Albion, and that was one of the first things I did when I got to Albion, was join up.
Great, and that actually hits on one of the key things. Wildfire tends to make us all feel helpless, and the best way not to feel helpless is to do something. So you are a shining example of. So about the district, let's start there a little bit. Could you give us a little bit about just a kind of a sketch of the district, what its history is, how many people are there, what is the district?
Sure. So the Albion Little River Fire Protection District, it encompasses Albion and Little River, both unincorporated towns. It's about 44 square miles. We're coastal. I'm not sure how much mileage we have, but we have Route 1 and 128 running through our district. We go pretty much from Mendocino down to the Navarro River, and then 8 miles out, 128, and inland from there. So we bump up against Compchi and then Mendocino to the north. One thing that's really distinct about our district is we basically have 3 ridges with 3 roads, and that's Little River Airport Road, Albion Ridge, and Navarro Ridge. And so we're kind of spread out in the fact that we don't have a lot of access. In fact, Albion Ridge, one of their major problems is there's only one way off of it. So with the topography of our district, we do a little bit of everything. A lot of EMS calls. We do, in the past, we've had a cliff rescue team and a water rescue team, which we're relying on our neighbors now. It's a lack of membership. And wildland fire. We have a lot of timberland in our district.
I have a question, Michael.
Yes.
How much CAL FIRE participation do you have out in the Albion district? Are there CAL FIRE stations out there?
Yeah, so our nearest CAL FIRE station is in Mendocino at the Woodlands. It's the Woodlands station. And we rely on them heavily. We pretty much they're pretty much automated to us for everything except EMS calls.
Got it. Thanks.
And they actually, when they're around, which is becoming less and less these days, we actually train a lot with them. When I first joined, they were regularly training us, and it was super beneficial. And for the new members at the time when I joined, kind of came up with them training us weekly.
Cool. So I want to focus in on something you said. We'll kind of get into the spectrum of things you do in a moment, but
Sure.
you mentioned the rescue part of it, which is certainly critical, and it sounded like there's a shortage of people that are available to make that happen as part of the department at this point. Is that?
Yeah. So our roster right now is standing right at, I think we're at 20 or 21 members right now. And probably half are consistently available. And we have members of all ages, well, 18 plus all ages, but some are in their 70s down to teenagers. So there's a big gap, and we don't have a lot to draw from. So yeah, right now in the areas of rescue, we're a little bit short just because of people willing to train to those levels, and then just availability too.
Cool. But so if somebody is interested in participating, it's kind of a window into a whole world of training and skills that they can pick up.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Hopefully somebody out there is listening that's interested.
Well, and on that note of skills, I know, as part of a fire department, you do a lot of medical aids. Roughly how many of your roster are, trained up to an EMT level?
So we have 5 certified EMTs. And then the rest of the department is required to be, it's basically first responder, which is Title 22 certified. And we try to keep everybody current with that. That's kind of the baseline. But we have five EMTs.
I mean, because, and generally speaking, for volunteers that sign up, what's your estimate of how many hours of training they have to put in just to become a beginning functioning volunteer?
That's a good question. I mean, it's going to be at least 8 to 10 hours a month. And probably more. That would just be our in-house trainings, which we really have to rely on outside training too. That we have a local fire academy that's put on by the Chiefs Association.
Mm-hmm.
And it's set up in a weekend format, so it's easier for volunteers to do. But it at this point, to cover everything, it's running about 4 months long plus. So it's a huge commitment. I don't know what the total hours on that is. And then, I mean, to become an EMT, I think the class is right around 190 hours right now.
Yeah. So, hey, when were you in the fire academy, the Chiefs Academy?
I did it a few years after I joined. Let's see. I want to say 2014.
Got it. I think your voice is, sorry, everybody out there on the air. This is Cobb Engineering. I think we were in some classes together, if not the Fire Academy, then maybe over here in Boonville.
Yeah, definitely.
Just
I've taken a number of classes.
But I'm also breaking in here for a minute, Scott and Michael, as everybody that's been listening knows, and especially you, if you already know this, this is the K0x Pledge Drive. And we're trying to raise some money here to keep this ship going. It's kind of the consistent theme of fire safe councils of the Albion Fire District that we're interviewing the chief of right now, which is that we need your participation, and it's no small order, but it's something we're all capable of stepping up to. And to kick that off, I'm going to put out 3 thank yous that we just had, which is, let's see here. This is for the Black Bart Trail Fire Safe Council already.
All right. Go
coming
Black
up
Fires.
to meet that match there, Scott. And their comment is Scott is doing such a great job. Thanks, Scott, on behalf of Black Bart, excuse me, out there. Fire Safe Council and Firewise community. So cheers to that. Fire Safe Councils are stepping it up and supporting the local radio station. Thank you out there, everybody. We have another thank you to Linda Joe, who just has a lot of respect for Mendocino. That's their comment. And we have one more thank you to put out there. Let's see. To Miranda. Thanks, Miranda. It's funny, we have a lot of thank you gifts too if you call in, because we're hoping to have more calls. The number to call is 895-2233. And, we will thank you. We'd love to thank you on the air. You can be anonymous. We can read your name over. And we have thank you gifts. I almost said thank you to T-Shirt Woman as I was reading this, and then I didn't. But our thank you gifts, we have T-shirts, we have masks. You can get blackout coffee. There's all sorts of stuff. So call 895-2233, please. And, they can figure it out. It can take all of a couple minutes, and it's really easy, and you're helping to keep this essential infrastructure going all throughout the county.
Yep, and if you're sitting and listening to a pledge drive, this matters to you, because the only reason to sit through a pledge drive is because you are listening to something that's vital and important, as this station is. And definitely, I'm just thinking through, Mendocino County is a tremendously hard place to get the word out to. We are diverse and scattered, but when we do need to get the word out, kind of the first place I go is this station. So, this is the place you're going to look to as we've got a large grant program coming up to help people replace their roofs. You want to find out about it, this will be the place to be tuned in. So please pick up the phone and help us out.
895-2233. And without ado, let's go back to Michael Reese from Albion Fire District.
Yep. And before we move on to sort of the causes of fire, flesh out the picture of the department. Can you give us a sense of what all the scope of things you need to cover are? I know there's, you mentioned a few of them, EMS, search and rescue. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, which is always amazing to me.
Yeah. So our call volume, we run about, in Albion, we run about 220, 230 calls a year. And yeah, it's not just medical aids. There's obviously there's fires, vegetation fires, structure fires, traffic collisions. And then there's hazardous conditions, hazmat. That could be a spill on the highway, or a gas leak, or power lines down. Then there's all kinds of public service calls, like a water tank bursting, or a lift assist for someone who's fallen and needs help getting up. And then, like I said before, our search and rescue, water rescue, cliff rescue. And I know I'm probably missing something.
Yeah, there's also a fair bit of community organizing, as I understand, and you also have to do like building inspections and other obligations like that.
Yeah, so that's kind of a new thing. State mandated commercial properties now have to be, that responsibility falls on the local fire districts, and we're trying to work that one out and figure it out. It's new to us, but we're putting a plan together. I'm looking at it more as a kind of an educational process for our commercial properties than kind of like find all the violations. Just looking more of a prevention and educational experience through our inspections. But in Albion, we're looking at probably 20 to 30 properties that are going to have to be inspected annually. And that's pretty new for the for our district's plate.
Okay, so yet another opportunity to do more stuff for free. So let's at this point move on to to the topic, I know we've out this area. Hopefully, there haven't been so many on the coast, but we've had quite a number of scares already this season. Wildfires are starting to pop up, and I don't think the causes of all of them are determined yet. But it's a odds-on favorite that all or almost all of them were something that a person caused. For another project we're doing, we actually got from our CAL FIRE MU unit locally last year's statistics about what the causes of fires were. And I want to kind of move down them in order and get Michael to give us some tips about what we can do to not make that happen. Top of the list, 28% of the fires that were started in the county last year were caused by somebody burning debris. So 28% was somebody that started a fire on purpose, but didn't take the steps necessary to make sure they controlled and contained it. Michael, can you give us a little bit of insight about what people should be doing to manage their debris burns?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing I would say, I mean, this is common. It happens, and it can happen to everybody. It can happen even when you're taking every precaution you can. But the biggest thing with that is I'd say check the weather, because wind seems to be a huge factor in debris burning and burn piles getting away from people. So, follow all the rules, have your 10-foot clearance space. We're down to bare mineral soil, have a shovel, have some water. But before you start burning, pay attention to what the weather's doing. And if it's going to get windy, I know the last few weeks, it's been very breezy. And I mean, I personally have chosen not to burn due to the weather. So I'd say that's the biggest factor.
I have a question about that, Michael, and Scott, you may even know, because isn't there also the association with the air quality? And they often schedule like permissible burn days for windy days because it's going to keep the air clean from the smoke. Do either of you have a comment?
I'm not sure the air quality, their decisions on burn days, from what I've been told, comes from their higher up office. I don't know if that's Sacramento, but it's not necessarily weather related. I don't really know what their factors are. Sometimes I'm really confused as to what a good burn day is and what one isn't. I mean, it's really the responsibility. If it is a burn day, it is the responsibility of the person burning. I mean, and it's as soon as you put that fire on the ground, it's your responsibility of what happens to it. If it gets away from you, or so you got to be vigilant with weather and your surroundings.
You have to make the time commitment to be there. I think one of the fires that happened in the Willits area is somebody that kind of walked away from their fire. So it's a time commitment and a big responsibility commitment. Go ahead.
That's a really good point. Even I've been to debris burns that have escaped that were actually put out with water, and then they reignited, overnight or the next day. I mean, that's really common. So you got to check it the next morning. You got to stay vigilant. Yep.
And especially these days, because we know that every place is dry. So fire weather, if the question is it fire weather today? The answer will be yes, most likely. Okay. Moving on down the list, the next item, which there may not be so much to say about, but is arson. 13% of the fires somebody started on purpose last year. And I'll let you talk about that in a moment, Michael. But I mean, the thing that occurs to me is that, as with all kinds of crime, there's going to be somebody, and all the rest of us can do is be super vigilant. Go ahead, Cobb.
Yeah, these statistics, just to double back, these percentages, is this in Mendocino County or is this the state?
These were Mendocino County last year.
So, oh, wow. Okay. 13% in Mendocino County were arson. Cool. Got it.
Yeah, or uncool. Michael, did you want to add anything on that topic?
I mean, so I haven't really. We didn't have any arson. These are just related to vegetation fires, I'm assuming.
Yes, I believe so.
I know I looked at these. I just, yeah, I know there was a string in the valley last year, but, and there were a bunch, but, yeah, we just need to be hyper aware.
Yep.
Don't hesitate to report smoke when you see it.
Yep. And yeah, I mean, I think all of those got caught or stopped eventually by somebody helping identify who was doing it. So keeping an eye out for smoke early and keeping an eye out for suspicious behavior. Next on the list, clocking in at 11% of the fires are vehicle-caused fires. And those can happen in a number of ways. It can be chain dragging. It can be catalytic converter issue. It can be a maintenance issue. Michael, you got some advice for people about those?
Yeah, be hyper aware of dragging chains. I feel like that's a big one. We had a couple years ago, we had one actually on my road, Navarro Ridge, start from a chain dragging down the road. And that was 1.5 miles from the coast. And also, I would add to this, to vehicles would be off-road vehicles through tall grass and vegetation, as being aware that that's a fire starter there too.
Yeah, anytime you're pulling a hot vehicle or hot something off the road into a grassy area, it is definitely a prime time for super vigilance. So maintain your vehicles. If you're towing anything, be super careful. I think CAL FIRE's got a One Less Spark campaign, which is worth checking out online. Yeah. One less spark, one less fire. Next on the list is lightning, which not one again that is super controllable, but it is one where I wish I'd meant to look up. There's an app that you can use to check where lightning strikes have happened, and that's an area I know. In fact, the Ridgewood Fire Council, I believe, and Sherwood Fire both do an excellent job of monitoring those during lightning storms and getting somebody out with eyes on the location as quickly as possible to see if there is something that needs tended to and put out. So, one of the things you can do is have your neighborhood fire safe council sort of mobilized and organized around being aware of dangerous situations. Michael, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I actually use one of those apps myself last year. It was very helpful. And one thing I'd like to say about our department is, and CAL FIRE did this, and then we kind of, I'd seen them do it over a couple years, not up in Humboldt and here, but they set up like a lightning plan, a lightning incident plan. So they broke up the unit in different divisions to check out possible strikes and reports of strikes. And we kind of did that in this last round that we had last year that ended up being pretty destructive in other places. We set up a lightning plan for ourselves of how and where we were going to respond to and how we were going to look for different lightning strikes within our district. And if we lost power and lost communication, but that was all encompassed in our plan. And luckily we didn't have to use it. But I think if we get another lightning event, we will put that back in place and try to mimic what CAL FIRE is doing, so that we can find these quickly and put them out.
I have a question on that note, Michael. In the Albion district, do you, and this is kind of relating to my experience in Anderson Valley, but do you have any community members or, retired fire volunteers that assist you with locating smokes out in the wildland?
Not off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do. So there is, there's Co-op, the private plane that flies and looks for smokes. I know they're really active when, obviously when the weather permits after lightning strikes, from the air, but locally, no, as far as locals, no, that's actually a good idea to try to reach out to people and put something together like that.
Yeah, there's so that may be something too. If you're out there listening, if you'd like them to contact you, Michael, I know in Anderson Valley, what happens is there's a few folks that kind of put it together themselves, but they'll, call in and just say where they're located and help give whoever's on duty at the time just a sense to triangulate, kind of to get a baseline idea of what road to send a fire truck out on initially.
Yeah.
But on that note, I guess my question is, for anybody that's listening to the show today that might want to reach out to you because they're, thinking, hey, maybe I want to become an Albion firefighter or something like that, how would they contact you?
Well, we do have a Facebook page. We have a phone number too. I can give that out.
Yeah, please.
So our district line, and you'll probably end up leaving a message there, but it's 707-937-4022. And that links directly to me. So that's one way. And then I guess the third way would be to just show up on a Thursday night. Those are our drill nights. We have a couple different locations, but we're usually on Albion Ridge. So yeah, walk-ins are always welcome. Everyone's welcome.
Cool. And on that note, K0x, pretty much everyone's welcome. Call in, join up. 895-2233 is the number to call today. You can also go online, k0x.org. There's a big donate now, and we are wanting to recruit new members. Maybe check in on your membership and update it, but the notion is we need to raise some money to keep this station serving the community out there. On that note, we do have a thank you for Leela Neal. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your names right. For the Fire Safe Radio Show. Thank you for calling in. So, like them, if you're out there listening, put this task on your list and cross it right off right away because it's easy to keep moving with your day. We know you're busy. The number to call is 895-2233. So much in this county as Scott could speak to for a moment depends on volunteers and volunteer donations to keep our fundamental infrastructure going.
Yeah, it definitely takes a community to save a community. One of the things I always say is, we can, if you sit around and wait for the $1 million grant to happen to land in your neighborhood, it may or may not happen. And in the meantime, you can get as much done just by organizing your neighbors. And even if you are fortunate enough to land that grant, the next year you're going to have to maintain it. This is a part of our lifestyle now, being part of a community, being organized as a community, taking this stuff seriously, and actually sort of tying into, well, let me just on that note put it out again that this is a great time to show some love for the people who have organized your neighborhood fire safe council and put in a donation celebrating them and getting that going. I think we are right in the neighborhood of having 40 going in the county at the moment, and
40 fire safe councils,
40 neighborhood councils.
Hey, that's something to celebrate.
That is worth celebrating, with a donation in particular, and also by starting another one and being the 41st. We'd love to get your neighborhood engaged if it's not already. Everybody certainly needs to be, just like they need to be to keep this radio show going.
Yeah, and on that note, also, you can leverage your money at the moment because we have some community members that have put up a challenge. So anyone calling in right now, 895-2233, your money will be doubled up to the first $250 we get during this show hour. So call up now if you're listening to this show and have your money do twice the work, and it will help get K0x towards their goal to keep this going. Thank you, folks. The number's 895-2233.
Okay, and back to the show while you're busy on the phone there. And I'm gonna the next item on our equipment to get you thinking, Michael, is equipment, which causes 7% of the fires, and that's kind of a range, probably worth talking about separately. That runs from mowers to saws to trimmers to generators. Anytime you're using something with power that generates heat, you need to be thinking about starting fire. I'm gonna put in a little commercial for a way you can save yourself a bit of that work before we step through those, which is one of the things your County Fire Safe Council is doing for you this year is helping out with chipper days when you're organized as a community. And we have an automated system for doing that now. It's www.chipperday.com, easy enough to remember, /Mendocino. And we have a number of days that are looking for people to sign up for them. So if you are in particular at the moment, I understand we're looking to get some more people signed up in Laytonville, Philo Navarro, Willits, Redwood Valley, Potter Valley, and Pine Mountain and Ridgewood as well are all places where we're hoping to get the chipper out there and provide community service. And that's one less opportunity for you to have to worry about causing a fire. If you just cut it and pile it, we will chip it and take care of that responsibility for you. So it's one less heat source for you. So again, that is www. You need that chipperday.com. /Mendocino. And if you go in there and it doesn't show there's a day currently set for your area, if there is one already logged in, you can go ahead and sign up for it. If there's not, please register to get on the waiting list, because that waiting list is what drives us to schedule the next day. When we see there are a number of people interested in a given community, that makes that community a priority for us. So you're helping your neighbors by getting yourself signed up. So let's talk about equipment. Michael, could you give us some fire department wisdom about what people should be doing to make sure their equipment's not starting fires?
Yeah, well, mowers and saws and trimmers. I mean, mow early and mow often. And that early means early in the season and early in the day. As far as mowing goes, I caretake a large property. That's my day job, and it's ranch / estate. And I do a lot of mowing, a lot of field mowing and a lot of landscape mowing. And I pretty much have a rule. Somebody told me this long ago. But if the wheels aren't coming up wet anymore, it's too dry to be mowing. And it's true. I've sparked off fires myself from the blades, just trying to push it a little too much later in the day. And then with saws, I mean, like I said, it's the same thing. Cut early. And if you have to cut something with a chainsaw in the heat of the summer, make sure you got a water source, little pump can with you or something nearby, even just a shovel. And then trimmers, I would say don't use a metal blade after, I don't know, May, June. Generators are I think that's one that we're going to kind of see an increase in if we keep having power safety shutoffs. A lot of people are going to be running generators in the middle of the summer. And just be hyper vigilant of where you place your generator and don't overload it.
Yep, it needs to be outdoors, but it needs to be not in a dry, grassy field. Bad idea.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, definitely generators are a bigger one. And I think we need to, we have a ton of information up on our website. And I think we put this up, but the Lake County Fire Safe Council, if we don't have it up, just did a good informational piece on fire safety around generators. So if you're going to be running one, it's worth popping up. Just Google generator fire safety, and you'll find your way to it. It's worth checking out. It's worth checking out for all of these things. If you're going to be doing them, think it through. That's the message. Moving on down the list, the next one is electric power, which is, actually at 5% of last year's fires, which is somewhat surprisingly low for me, given the prominence that electricity gets in the wildfire area. But electric power is 5%, and the notation on that in the CAL FIRE report that I saw said that it was predominantly around large grows. So there's obviously when you're using a lot of electricity in a concentrated area, your need to make sure you're doing it right is even greater. Michael, anything you'd like to talk about around power?
I mean, I don't know. That one's surprising to me too, but maybe I think electric power lines would be part of the factor in there. I don't know. Maybe their mitigation efforts are working, or just didn't happen last year.
Right. Yeah. I mean, these are 1-year statistics, so they're gonna move around a lot depending on the wind, et cetera. It looks like Cobb, you wanted to come in?
Yeah. This is Cobb Engineering here at K0x. I have a question, Michael. Just on that note, I know your department does inspections, and have you had many marijuana grow sites where you've been inspecting and just seeing how that intersects with your fire department and fire safety and that kind of thing, and any information you want to put out there about that?
No, the answer is no. I have not inspected any legal commercial grows. So apparently we have none right now.
Got it. Cool.
That could be changing as permitting changes, I guess, but so far, no. And I mean, with any of those, yeah, I mean, seeing that it's related to grows, I mean, I would just reiterate how important it is to have a licensed electrician handle your wiring, and also not overloading your transformers, because that's one that we've seen happen numerous times, where a transformer will blow up because the draw is too much.
Regarding your inspection, you said what, about 30 properties a year, something your department has as a...
Yeah. Yes.
And then, just as we're moving through this, is there anything you want to put out there to the community as far as what you've noticed during those inspections that you want to blanket highlight as far as fire safety improvements go?
We're just getting started with them, and so I really don't have anything notable. I mean, it's mostly inns, restaurants, and like commercial properties like that, and relatively in good, pretty decent shape, most of them. So that I don't really have any notes or trends or anything on that. It's all kind of working it out still, learning.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Moving down the list, and this is kind of, we've reached the catch-all 10% miscellaneous, which I put a little lower in the category because it's a bunch of things. The things that were pointed out in the CAL FIRE report are people disposing of ashes outside. Barbecuing is on the list, target shooting, and fireworks. Just how crazy would it be to be doing fireworks around here in the summer these days? And yet, Michael, would you like to step through any safety around those issues?
Fireworks are illegal. Just put that out there and remind that of that. Disposing of ashes is a big one. I mean, we had a couple of those last year, and on windy days, I mean, it was just a pile of ashes on the side of someone's yard, and the wind picked up off the coast and burned out a couple acres. So I'd be hyper vigilant. Soak them down if you dump them outside. Where you put them, bury them, let them down. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, target shooting. Yeah, I don't, and barbecuing. We haven't really seen either of those recently, but yeah, just awareness and vigilance.
As far as, I wonder if I could interject since we're on the miscellaneous topic, and you've heard all these different causes, Michael. What would you add to that list as just in Albion in terms of what you've seen as far as causes of fires and what you've noticed as far as what's preventable?
As a, well,
in your whole firefighting career.
Looking back, I mean, like I said, we've had ashes. Fireworks haven't really been one. Escaped campfires. I mean, that's, a warming fire, a cooking fire is pretty much, you can pretty much do that all year round unless they put a full ban on it, which I don't think we've ever done that here. I don't know if I would add. I can't think of anything off the top of my head to add to the list.
Well, you just actually almost finished the list because the next one was campfires and
I mean that's the one. And just escapes on that. And smoking's on there, and I feel like that's a pretty low. That's really it's a unique situation when a cigarette butt starts a fire, especially out here. Maybe inland a little more.
Yeah, that used to be more of an older cause. I picture that from the anti-smoking educational campaigns long ago when it was, people starting fires, falling asleep at their couch kind of thing.
Yeah. I think filters are designed a little differently too for as far as people throwing them out the window. You have to have a pretty ideal condition to get a cigarette butt to start a fire.
Well, in any case, if you're just tuning in, this is K0x Radio. My name's Cobb. I'm engineering in the studio. Our guest today is Michael Reese, the chief of Albion Little River Fire District, and our host is Mendocino County Fire Safe Council Director Scott Craddy. And we want to take a moment here because it's the K0x Pledge Drive. And we're trying to meet a hefty goal here to keep this afloat and keep the funds going. Because that's what this radio station, amongst so much of our infrastructure, depends on. It depends on your donations. And the way to do that is to call 707-895-2233. Or you can go online. There's a big red Donate Now button. And you can get involved that way. There's numerous prizes. We have challenge matches available to help move your money and leverage it in ways where it becomes worth more than it seems to be at the time. And we have a thank you even. So, aside from the broad thank you to everybody that keeps all this infrastructure going, whether it's K0x or the Albion Little River Fire Department or the Fire Safe Council, thank you out there. And we want to say thank you to Storm, and their comment was that K0x got us through the smoke and fire. So grateful it's here when we need information. And with that, we got the note that our challenge earlier was met. So again, thanks for stepping it up, folks. We had a show goal of about $1,000 for this hour, and so far we're at $920. So with a easy $80 donation, you could round that goal out for us and get an easy victory this morning by calling 895-2233 or going on to kzyx.org.
And because this is fire safety, which you care so much about, though, we're hoping that you're gonna pass that $1,000 way by and show how much you think this information is worth and how important it is. So please get to the phone.
Yeah, and Scott, you put out that direct challenge to all the fire safe councils about getting a membership. What was it again for a fire safe council? Something like that.
Yeah, you were hoping to see. We've got one in so far. Hopefully you can call in and represent your fire safe council and show your neighbors how much you care about them by showing that you're supporting your neighborhood fire safe council.
On that note, as we get back into the show, Michael, I just wonder, because the common theme here, whether it's fire safe councils, whether it's local fire departments, whether it's K0x Radio, is, member participation, community members out there like yourselves that are listening. Michael, what's kept you inspired to be on the Albion Little River Fire Department? You said you've been on there 10 years and now you're the chief. What's got you motivated to keep going? It's community participation. It's helping my community and my neighbors out, and being a viable resource in a time of need. I like to help when I kind of consider myself a fixer in a way. And when there's a problem, I want to get in there and help fix it. So, for me, it was a huge way to connect with my community. And it's such a broad spectrum of the community. I have, the people I know in the community, but then joining the fire department just opened me up to like the wide spectrum of the community. And the thing that blew me away the most is how much happens that, the rest of the community isn't necessarily aware of. There's a lot that goes on as far as emergencies go. And and it's an amazing, the volunteer fire department is an amazing community effort all around, from the board all the way to the families of the volunteers and just the community members. So that's what keeps me in it, is just, it's basically being a member of my community. Cool. And now's your chance, Michael. Again, can you put out contact information for the Albion Little River Fire Department for anyone that's listening that wants to check in with you and see how they can get involved?
Yeah. So our number is 937-4022. That's our direct info line, and that links to me. And come on down. We have all, there's a job for everyone. We're not exclusive to just firefighting and the standard firefighter or the standard EMT. There's many jobs that need to be done.
And it's not free. As you know, K0x Pledge Drive, if you want to participate in that, 895-2233. But what sort of activities does the Albion Little River Fire District go to as far as fundraising for your district?
Well, we have every year, except for this last year, and probably not this coming summer, but we have our fire barbecue, which is very well attended by our community and surrounding communities. This year it's actually been a lot of grassroots donations coming in just from individuals, and then individuals sitting out in front of the post office. But our barbecue is our main big fundraiser.
Were you able to do that last year?
No, we were not. It's usually the weekend after the 4th of July. And it's not looking like we're going to get to do it this year either.
All the more reason to check in with Michael if you're part of Albion and see how you can get involved and how you can help out.
We do have a website too. I should give that out. Let's see. It's sorry. It's www.alrfpd.com. So it's Albion Little River Fire Protection District.com.
Okay.
Well, we're
there's actually donate links there, and then all of our information on our contact information, location of stations, and
great. While we're doing contact info, I'll just jump in real quickly. So in case you want to find out more about what's happening with the County Fire Safe Council, our office number is 707-462-3662. And I would recommend that every once in a while you take a look at our website as well, firesafemendocino.org. Easy to remember, firesafemendo.org. and there are always new things popping up there. We'll cover this in a future show, but we just, for example, landed a grant that's going to allow us to do a bit more senior defensible space work for income qualified seniors in the area. That's something we pioneered a little bit last year. We're going to hopefully do an even better job with it this year. But, a vital community service for people who are in the wildland interface and are unable to get out and do the work themselves and can't afford to hire someone.
We're coming up right near the end. Michael, Reese, thank you so much for being with us today. We're going to be cutting it off hard and sharp at 10 o'clock, everybody, to move on to some excellent music. If you have just tuned in, this is K0x Radio, the Mendocino County Fire Safe Council show, and we have a few more thank yous. Let's see. Marcia, part of the Upper Deerwood Fire Safe Council, Scott, is saying, hey, KZYX gets us through the fires, and a big thanks to Director Scott Craddy. So thank you for that work, Scott. And also we have another thank you to put out there from Hercules, and they appreciate KZYX. Keep it up. So great, and thank you. And it looks like one of those thank yous too called in and helped bring us to that show goal we had of $1,000. That's for this hour. Don't let that stop you. Put this task on your list and cross it right off right away. Call in 895-2233. And in some of the time allotted, Scott, I wonder, something that I found really intriguing that you've spoken well to in the past is how this participation really helps leverage the community in terms of getting funding.
Yeah, it totally can. Having your neighborhood organized is key to showing that the county cares about things, and having, most importantly, having a neighborhood council organized. Just the Ridgewood Fire Safe Council is a prime example that started us off with our challenge today. We ended up, we try to bring as many resources as we plausibly can into the county. We're applying for grants all the time, and a situation occurred where we happened to land 2 grants for road clearing the same road. So we suddenly had some resources available, and the Ridgewood Fire Safe Council was organized and had a project ready. The good luck comes to those who are prepared and ready. So, because they'd put in the legwork and had a project, we were able to go and help them with some road clearing. Again, the more organized you are, I think that goes to all the things we've been talking about today. The more organized you are around what you're doing, the more you're prepared, the more you're making sure you're mowing when the ground is still damp, and that you got water sources ready, the better off your whole community is. A lot of ways to contribute.
Thanks for being with us, Albion Little River Chief Michael Reese. We have just a minute to go. You got a final word to put in there, and maybe your phone number one last time.
Well, thanks for having me. And yeah, so the phone number is 707-937-4022, or our website, www.alrfpd.com. And yeah, thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. It's been great talking with you, and there are a ton of things we didn't get to, like fire defensible space and home hardening and being ready with your go bags. So, again, all opportunities for people to spend some time with the website and get themselves educated on other aspects of what we all need to do to be responsible together.